something completely different.
Yeah.
And I put the distillery there to just to see the difference between this and the previous one. It's
yeah,
totally different.
it's
Um,
there's no real way of, there's no direct comparison really between a malt distillery like Ben Rinnes and then a grain distillery like Girvan,
yeah,
because grain distilleries are not ever really open to the public. They're more like they produce a lot more volume. They use continuous distillation, so it's always on, apart from like one day a year where some of the parts get changed and it's cleaned and whatever. But the reality is this is big production sites. It's not batch production like your malt distilleries. And it is the Girvan distillery especially is one that, well, I mean, actually take a step back. The single grain category is often described as the whiskey industry people's whiskey, if that makes sense, because you don't see grain whiskey that often in the wild or in shops. In, you know, you had Hay Club for a while there with David Beckham and Diageo. You then had a couple of others. Girvan back in 2015, was it? They released 3 whiskies from that distillery themselves, but it didn't really get the marketing push it needed to be a big thing. But we've always loved grain whiskey, and we've always, you know, really celebrated it and enjoyed it. And it's very rare that our range doesn't have a grain whiskey in there somewhere. At the minute in the UK, we have a 20-year-old Invergordon Oloroso sherry cask, and I think it's a 15-year-old Girvan rum cask actually. And they're used for different things. So the rum cask is a show exclusive, so we don't have it on the website. You physically have to meet me in person to buy it at an event. We don't do, it's not like a widespread release. So we do something like that each year, and it's quite cool. Gets people talking about it anyway. But this one's a 16-year-old first fill ex bourbon cask, and with that it brings out that gorgeous kind of toffee notes, the honey, the cereal, these vanilla notes as well. I don't know if this phrase will translate as well, but I describe any release from Girvan that we've done ever really as like drinking boozy butter. So, you know, like butter for like at Christmas when you have like brandy butter and that kind of thing. It's like a really mellow version of that, and it's just so nice, and it's really delicate as well. And with it, almost like creme brulee notes as well, which it gives it that lovely sweetness and that vanilla note. But underneath it all, you have that gorgeous toffee and honey note as well. And the distillery itself is, I mean, I love it. I don't think many people would have had selfies outside a distillery like this, but there's me that's like, yeah, bash, that's cool. And I've only ever visited it once, and it was really cool. It's proper industry, like shiny kind of steel and aluminium everywhere. And yeah, it was really nice actually.
Yeah, I'd love to go for a visit. It's a little bit off the road where people goes usually. It's not. It's on south a bit of Glasgow, but yeah, I think I will add it on my next trip to go.
It's on the same site actually. I don't know if you can see it on the image. On the same site is the Ailsa Bay Distillery. And yeah, it's really, really nice place and beautiful part of the world as well. Around the corner from there is the Ailsa Craig Bay, which is just stunning. Really nice.
And you talked about the size, just to give people an idea. The biggest distillery, pot still distillery, they produce like 25 million liters.
Yeah.
And Girvan is more than 100 million liters per year. So it's like 5-6 times bigger than the bigger pot still distilleries. So it's definitely very big.
And 99% of that goes into blends.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is incredible, isn't it? Like it's so I think it's Glenfiddich's the biggest producer now, 24.5 million liters.
Yeah.
And everyone on the planet has heard of Glenfiddich. Whereas, as you rightly said, these guys 5 times bigger nearly, and pretty much no one's ever heard of them.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Exactly. So yeah, that's really nice to have a chance to taste that grain whiskey. And it's 16 years old. As for sure, the grain whiskey has a bit less flavor at the beginning, but
it takes a
marries
while
well with the barrel, and then
Yeah.
develop some taste there. So I imagine also that's why you have like older grain
Correct.
whiskey in your portfolio. Yeah.
Yeah, we grain whiskey starts to get really good from about 12 years old and upwards. Younger than that, it can be a little bit weak flavor wise, but near enough always when it hits 12, it starts to go amazing. We've got grain whiskey in the warehouse actually up to the age of, I think, 34, maybe 35 years old now. So that's a lot of our older stock is grain actually, and it only gets better.